In many religious traditions, there's an emphasis on the hiddenness of God. Yes, he exists, but there are limits to what we can know about him. He's a God of silence and mystery and darkness. I can't touch him like the stones on this beach or feel him like the wind in my hair. We should be careful not to think that we can grasp him too easily. In the Jewish temple in ancient Jerusalem, the most sacred place of the building was the Holy of Holies. And you couldn't just wander in like a tourist and take some photos for your Instagram feed. And in fact, it was covered with a huge curtain so that no one, apart from the high priest, could look in, let alone enter inside. In many Catholic churches of the Middle Ages and in many Protestant churches built after the Reformation, there was a desire to simplify and declutter the architecture so that nothing would distract the believers from the worship of God. And if you go into a mosque today, you'll see beautiful shapes and patterns and calligraphy, but you will not see any images of God or of the human form because they're strictly banned. But what's wrong with trying to picture God? Well, the danger is that we will end up substituting our images of God for the living God himself. We can become superstitious very easily. We can create idols that enslave us. Think of the way we're constantly tempted to worship money or power or pleasure. God is infinite and eternal and completely beyond anything we can understand or imagine. That's why it says in the Jewish writings of the Bible, "You shall not make for yourself a carving or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above or on the earth or in the waters beneath the earth. You shall not bow down before them and worship them." But there is another tradition as well of trying to say at least something about the mystery of God. Because when we look at the world, its existence, its beauty, its order, it says something about God, about his generosity, his power, his wisdom, his intelligence, his goodness. The creation points to the Creator. The mystery at the heart of the universe is not an abstract force, but a God who is alive, who is personal, who calls us into a relationship with him. This is one of the key insights of the Jewish and the Christian and the Muslim traditions. In the Bible, it says that God is a living God. He's gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love. And Christians have come to address God as Father because he is a God of goodness. He is a God who cares for the whole of his creation. It makes such a difference to know that there is a Creator and a meaning to creation. To know that your life is not just a product of chance, but that it has meaning and purpose. To know that God is good and trustworthy, even if you have lots of questions about the world and the meaning of your life. St. Augustine said that God is infinitely beyond us, but closer to us than we are to ourselves. But look, God's goodness does not make him predictable or tame. There is a certain wildness about God. He's like a raging storm sweeping in from the sea behind me. And in the Bible it says that God is a consuming fire. He's not in our control. God says of himself, "My ways are not your ways. My thoughts are not your thoughts." In the children's book, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, the figure who represents God is called Aslan. And the children, Susan and Lucy, are shocked to discover that Aslan is a lion, and they're frightened to meet him. So they want some kind of reassurance, and they ask the question, "Is he safe?" And they receive this reply, "Safe? Who said anything about safe? Of course he isn't safe, but he's good. He's the king." The goodness of God is just a starting point, but it's an important one. And it leads to another question. If he is so good, would he try to speak to us?